Hope is a waking dream.
He who is to be a good ruler must have first been ruled.
He who has never learned to obey cannot be a good commander. Happiness is the settling of the soul
into its most appropriate spot. Happiness is an expression of the soul.
in considered actions.
Happiness is activity.
Happiness depends upon ourselves. Good habits formed at youth make all the difference.
Friendship is essentially a partnership.
Friends hold a mirror up to each other.
Through that mirror they can see each other in ways that would not otherwise be accessible to them. And it is this mirroring that helps them improve themselves as persons. For what is the best choice for each
individual is the highest it is possible for him to achieve.
Fear is pain arising from
the anticipation of evil. Excellence is an art won by training
and habituation. We do not act rightly because we have virtue or excellence, but we rather have those because we
have acted rightly. We are what we
repeatedly do.
Excellence, then, is not an act but a habit. Every rascal is not a thief, but every thief is a rascal.
Even when laws have been written
down, they ought not always
to remain unaltered. Equality consists in the same
treatment of similar persons.
Education is an ornament in prosperity and a refuge in adversity.
Educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. Each man judges well the things he knows.
Dignity does not consist in possessing
honors, but in deserving them.
Democracy is when the indigent and
not the men of property are the rulers. Courage is the first of human qualities,
because it is the quality which guarantees the others.
Criticism is something we can avoid easily by saying nothing, doing nothing,
and being nothing.
Comedimes at representing men as worse, tragedy is better than in actual life.
Character may almost be called
the most effective means
of persuasion.
Change in all things is sweet. At his best, man is the noblest of all animals. Separated from law and justice, he is the worst.
All men by nature desire knowledge.
Anybody can become angry. That is easy. But to be angry with the right person and to the right degree, and at the right time and for the right purpose, and in the right way, that is not
within everybody's power and is not easy. All human beings by nature desire to know. A likely impossibility is always
preferable to an unconvincing possibility. A friend to all is a friend to none.
A constitution is the arrangement of magistrates in a state.
The actuality of thought is life.
Teenagers these days are out of
control. They eat like pigs. They are
disrespectful of adults. They interrupt and contradict their parents, and
they terrorize their teachers.
Something is infinitive, taking it quantity by quantity. We can always take something outside. Republics decline into democracies, and democracies degenerate
into despotism.
Probable impossibilities are to be
preferred to improbable possibilities.
Poverty is the parent of revolution and crime.
Poetry is finer and more philosophical
than history, for poetry expresses the universal, and history only the particular.
Poetry demands a man with
a special gift for it, or else one
with a touch of madness in him. Pleasure in the job puts
perfection in the work.
Piety requires us to honor
truth above our friends. Perfect friendship is the friendship of men who are good and alike in excellence, for these wish well alike
to each other, quite good, and they are good in themselves.
Of all the varieties of virtues, liberalism is the most beloved. Obstinate people can be divided
into the opinionated, the ignorant, and the boorish.
No one would choose a friendless existence on condition of having all the other things in the world.
No notice is taken of a little evil, but when it increases it strikes the eye.
My best friend is the man who, in wishing me well, wishes it for my sake. Most people would rather give than get affection.
Misfortune shows those who are not really friends.
Men create gods after their own
image, not only with regard to
their form, but with regard to their mode of life. Men are swayed more by fear than by reverence. Men acquire particular quality by constantly acting in a particular way.
Man is by nature a political animal. Man is a goal-seeking animal. His life only has meaning if he is reaching out and striving for his goals.
Love is composed of single
soul inhabiting two bodies. Liars, when they speak the
truth, are not believed. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. It is well to be up before daybreak,
for such habits contribute to health, wealth, and wisdom.
It is possible to fail in many ways,
while to succeed is possible
only in one way. It is not enough to win a war. It is more important to
organize the peace.
It is easy to perform a good action, but not easy to acquire a settled habit of performing such actions. It is during our darkest moments that we must focus to see the light. In all things of nature there is
something of the marvelous.
I have gained this by philosophy, that I do without being commanded,
what others do only from
fear of the law. I count him braver who overcomes his desires than him who conquers his enemies. For the hardest victory is over self. A constitution is the arrangement of magistrates in a state.
whosoever is delighted in solitude is either a wild beast or a god.
We must be neither cowardly nor rash, but courageous. We may call that we may live in peace. We live in deeds, not years.
In thoughts, not breaths.
In feelings, not in figures on a dial. We should count time
by heartthrobs. He most lives
who thinks most, feels the
noblest, acts the best. We cannot learn without pain. To write well, express yourself
like common people, but think like a wise man. All think as wise men do, but speak as the
common people do. To the query, what is a friend?
His reply was a single soul, dwelling into bodies. To love someone is to identify with them.
To be conscious that we are
perceiving or thinking is to be
conscious of our own existence.
Through this discipline is freedom.
Those who educate children well
are more to be honored than they
who produce them. For these only gave them life. Those the art of living well. Those that know do. Those that understand teach. This is the reason why mothers
are more devoted to their children than fathers. It is that they suffer more in giving them birth and are more certain that they are their own. There is no great genius without
some touch of madness. The worst form of inequality is
to try to make unequal things equal.
The ultimate value of life depends
upon awareness and the power of
contemplation rather than upon mere survival.
The true and the approximately true are apprehended by the same faculty. It may also be noted that
men have a sufficient natural instinct
for what is true, and usually do arrive
at the truth. Hence the man who makes
a good guess at truth is likely to make
a good guess at probabilities. The society that loses its grip on the past is in danger, for it produces
men who know nothing but the present, and who are not aware that life had
been and could be different from what it is.
The secret to humor is surprise.
The roots of education are bitter, but the fruit is sweet.
The proof that you know something is that you are able to teach it.
The one exclusive sign of thorough
knowledge is the power of teaching.
The most perfect political community is one in which the middle class is in
control and outnumbers both
of the other classes.
The least initial deviation from the
truth is multiplied later 1,000-fold.
The ideal man bears the accidents of life with dignity and grace, making
the best of circumstances. The happy life is regarded as a life in conformity with virtue. It is a life which involves effort and is not spent in amusement. The greatest thing by far is to be a master of metaphor. It is the one thing that cannot be learned from
others,
and it is also a sign of genius, since a good metaphor implies an intuitive perception of the similarity of the dissimilar. The gods too are fond of a joke. The energy of the mind is the essence of life. The educated differ from the
uneducated as much as the living from the dead.
The difference between a learned man
and an ignorant one is the same as that between a living man and a corpse.
The beauty of the soul shines out when a man bears with composure one heavy mischance after another, not because he does not feel them, but because he is a man of high and heroic temper. The antidote for 50
enemies is one friend.
The aim of the wise is not to
secure pleasure, but to avoid pain.
The aim of art is to represent not the outward appearance of things, but their inward significance.
Why is it that all those who have become eminent in philosophy, politics, poetry, or the arts are clearly
of an atrabilious temperament, and
some of them to such an extent
as to be affected by diseases caused by black bile? You will never do anything in
the world without courage. It is the greatest quality of
the mind next to honor.
Wit is educated insolence. Wishing to be friends is quick work, but friendship is a slow ripening fruit. Wicked men obey from fear, good men from love.
We praise a man who feels angry on the right grounds and against the right persons, and also in the
right manner at the right moment,
and for the right length of time.